Ready to rock and roll, Bo?
Oh, wait up. It's sending the data. Okay, it's online. Get your waiver wires ready. You got first pick, man. You better.
There's nothing. I'm going for Heineke
Oh, okay. Why don't you go for Sam Darnold?
because I think he's gonna
flop.
Yeah.
He's gonna like quiet down.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think Heineke has more upside because he has better weapons. And
what's his name? I mean, Darnold has good weapons too.
He does. But I think I like Curtis Samuel and Logan Thomas more than I like the third and fourth option in Carolina.
Fair enough.
I was thinking of trading for Daniel Jones, but I don't know if I should.
All right, I'm just sending this link. I like Daniel Jones. I mean, dude, he has over 25 points in both of his starts.
Yeah, I just don't know if I can trust him for a whole ass year.
Yeah, but can you trust Burrow?
No, that's why I'm replacing his ass.
Okay, I'm just sending this link to our two viewers.
Fuck them.
All right, 1 second.
Juju Schuster-Smith. I might use him as trade bait, honestly.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's talk about, man, dude, that is such a risky trade. When you told me you made that trade. Oh, so, okay. Welcome back, everybody, to the end around. Sorry we missed week 2. I was out of town and we didn't have time to get the show going. But, we're back and we're going to talk about week 3. There was a lot that happened in week 2. I'm sorry. We're going to recap week 2. First of all, yeah. So you traded Davante Adams, and who?
Pollard
for
Schuster-Smith.
Antonio Gibson and Juju Smith-Schuster. I like Gibson. I was trying to get him in a couple of leagues as well, but that's tough.
It is, but it isn't. So the way I think about it, so right now my team is 0-2, and one of the big reasons I made the trade is because I need balance on my team right now. I can't solely rely on Davante Adams to do everything for me. I think if I kind of break up his point total into 2 good players, then that gives me a better chance because I just see it as better percentages for 2 players to give me points as opposed to relying on 1 player to keep giving me points. So I think Gibson has high upside too. I think he is going to start to see higher volume in terms of catches and running the ball. So I think it's just a matter of time. Again, it's only week 2, but this is also the perfect time to make trades where you're still getting value without having to sacrifice an arm and a leg. And I'm honestly okay parting with Davante Adams because I still have Allen Robinson, who I think will still be fine. Devontae Smith, who I think is going to be consistent. And then Juju's a nice little flex option. And then I still have Hunt as a flex option. So I think this actually gives me more versatility as a team than if I were to hang on to Adams. Now I have a little bit more versatility. And selling Pollard high while he was cooking this past weekend was kind of what I was hoping for because everybody wants him now. So I was okay getting rid of him because you don't know from week to week with Dallas what their game plan is going to be and if it's going to be run-based or if Pollard's going to get the ball or who's going to get the ball. So I just didn't want that headache. So I'm okay with agreeing with that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that
And if it pays off, it pays off. It doesn't, well, I'm okay with it because I was willing to take the calculated risk.
No, yeah, it's fair. Pollard is that's a. I think you're right about the fact that Pollard is going to be like as hot as he has ever been, like right now. Same thing with like there's always the waiver wire, like hottest waiver wire person, like Rondale Moore, super high right now.
Yeah, Rondale Moore is super high right now. Fields is high right now. Daniel Jones is really high on the waiver wire as well.
Yeah, there's always the flavors of the week. I think that some stick and some don't. Like Elijah Moore, what was it?
Mitchell.
I had a feeling that was not going to stick. We didn't get to talk about it last week.
Yeah, he kind of phased out.
Yeah, that's too much. But people were going bonkers on him. But those kinds of players are just not fit for like big roles.
Not only that, but like especially with the scheme that they're in, like look at Baltimore. They have like 1 million running backs, and like collectively they're good, but individually for fantasy, they're not options you really want to go with.
No, like Baltimore uses running backs like seriously one play after the next. They change the running
pretty much, and their best running back is still their quarterback. So at the end of the day,
yeah, he's a badass running back. Yeah. So. No, interesting trade. Hopefully it works out for you. You finally parted with Devontae, who helped you win a championship. So,
yeah, I like Devontae, but sometimes you gotta make changes.
It's all right, man.
So we'll see. We'll see if it works out for me, and I finally get off the schneid and get myself a victory this week. We'll see.
So that's another thing too. Is like winning or losing your first 2 games. It's tough to not panic, especially because this year we have an extra week. But I mean, when you start 0-2, it's hard. It's hard to not panic. I am 1-1 and I'm 0-2 in Mark's league, and so I'm already kind of trying to see what I can do.
Yeah, we're the opposite in
each other's in the other league. Yeah. I'm 1-1 in your league. I thought I was going to go 2-0 until I remembered that I was playing Aaron Jones, and then it was all right for me.
Yeah.
And then it's 1, and then I'm 0-2 in Mark's league. So
yeah, and in that league I'm 2-0, and that team is actually really good.
Yeah, your team is really good in that league. That's kind of a championship contender in that one.
Yeah, so it's
tough. It's when you go 0-2, it does. I mean, you can't help but get worried, and you're like, you want to fix it. I started 0-3 in Mark's last year, and I made a good little run, but we'll see if I can do that again this year.
Yeah, you have to make moves here and there. And the thing that's crazy about this year is like there's a lot of injuries right now, but a lot of the injuries aren't to key fantasy guys, which is weird to say. Obviously, you don't want to see people get injured. But like last year, we had key injuries to key fantasy players. And this year, not so much. Like, yeah, there's the occasional like Jarvis Landry, but most of them are like linemen or linebackers, people you don't really see picked usually in fantasy. So there have been injuries, but not to your usual fantasy stalwarts as we're used to seeing, which is weird.
That's been good. It's been weird, but good. And
so like teams scrambling like myself, you have to make the trades, and I don't really make a lot of trades, but sometimes you have to make them. And then you were contemplating trading Allen Robinson for Kittle, but I think you should wait on that because I do think Robinson will bounce back. I think it's inevitable. Matthew Berry said it today, and I agree with him, is like he's a top 15 talent in terms of receivers. Like he's dealt with shitty quarterbacks his entire career. He's not going to just not produce all of a sudden. I'm not too worried about that. I think
I am excited about this. Justin, we'll get into more of this during the preview episode, but I am excited about Justin Fields. I think he still has the rookie. He's going to go through the rookie growing pains, but I think he's going to be more exciting than a Dalton.
Oh yeah, he's definitely more exciting. He allows for more versatility, so he can run RPOs. He is also a more viable option on scramble plays, things like that. So like those little things, they matter for fantasy players. So like David Montgomery, he's going to benefit, I think, as well as Allen Robinson. And then Cole Kmet, I think, will benefit. So if Cole Kmet is on the fantasy waiver wire and you have a deep bench, you may want to consider picking him up.
Yeah.
If you want to go ahead and take a gamble. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying he needs to be starting right now, but if he's out there and you want to take a flyer, I think he's worth taking a flyer
On
on.
Fields, is that what you said?
No, on Komet because of
Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
That he was one of the top tight end and one of the websites. He was one of the top tight end recommendations. So
yeah, I would pick
guess
him up
that's
right
true.
now.
And that's where I needed. That's why I need a tight end in that league. My tight end situation is dire in that league. So I felt, a Kittle for Robinson is even. You know how I felt it.
Yeah, you do, but you don't because most teams don't have a viable option at tight end.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Whereas if you're winning in the flex, I think that's where you're better off because if you have Allen Robinson where you can flex him or utilize him in different matchup situations, that gives you more versatility than a tight end who you're always going to have to play and he may or may not pan out. Look at Kittle. Kittle didn't do too well against the Eagles, so I think you're better off that way because not everyone has good tight ends, especially in that league that you're saying or in Mark's league where a lot of teams doubled up on tight ends. So I'm pretty sure there's at least 6 other teams that have shitty tight ends.
Yeah, definitely. Mark, I think you're watching. If you could, I think someone has Fant and Waller, I believe, and then someone, I think Mark's brother has Kittle and Gronk. So
okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah,
well, so the cool thing is, I mean, I think you can get Kittle, but I would wait on him and see if you can get him for someone lesser than Allen Robinson.
That's the thing, and that's what I told you. I would package him up. There's certain trades that you have to package up. Like I'm not going to send Robinson straight up for Kittle. It's close, but Kittle's not necessarily lighting it up right now yet. Because I'm tight. There's someone else that I was doing a trade for earlier, or tried to trade for.
Yeah, some players, some are package players. So like one thing that I like with the Davante Adams trade, like I knew I had to package him with someone, and I was like, well, I'm not as high on Pollard as everyone else is, so let me package him and make it look like a balanced trade. But I think in the end, I think I essentially got 2 players for 1.
Yeah, but you gave, 2 players for 1 fantastic player.
Yeah, but I think it balances out because I'm still getting 2 fantasy relevant players, whereas I don't think Pollard is going to be fantasy relevant like those 2 are. And I
think Pollard will stick a little bit. There's some of these waiver wires that are going to stick. Like I do think Rondale Moore will stick a little bit. Like he's pretty electric, man.
Yeah, maybe. The problem with players like Pollard and Rondale Moore is they're I don't want to say they're flashes in a pan, but you're not always going to get consistent production, and that can be frustrating.
It is. You're right. If you have someone like, I think Sterling Shepard is going to be pretty consistent this year, although we'll get into him. I think we'll get into him in a little bit because I believe Saquon arriving is going to change things on that offense a bit.
I think it'll change it for the better. Kind of to address Mark's questions really quick.
Yeah.
I don't think you should panic on any player right now. It's only the second week. A lot of these teams are still figuring each other out. Yes, even though some of them have played with each other for a year or 2 or longer, but they're definitely not worth panicking on, especially Herbert. He's such a good talent that it'll come. And then in terms of Cousins, definitely don't drop Cousins. He's been lighting it up the past 2 weeks.
No. I think he's saying Herbert for Cousins.
Oh, drop for Cousins?
No,
I wouldn't drop Herbert for Cousins.
But it depends. Is that your auction league, Mark? Because if it is, it's that league's crazy the way it works, the way he talks to me about it.
Yeah, well, that depends on the money too. Like who else is there where he can spend. But no, I would keep Herbert. Honestly.
I would keep Herbert, especially this week. They're playing against the Chiefs, and
Yeah, if he can't light it up against the Chiefs, then maybe panic time.
Yes, because everyone always elevates their points against the Chiefs.
The Chiefs have one of the worst defenses in the league. Well, secondaries, I think. But yeah, like Pollard, I'm not convinced. And if he pans out, then cool, good for the money team. But I don't think he is. I just have a feeling because if I had to choose, which I did, between trading Pollard or Hunt, I decided to go with Pollard because Hunt has been consistent for 2 to 3 years as a flex option, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. He got more of the carries in Sunday's game.
Yeah, he did.
He just didn't take advantage of it for whatever reason, but that's an anomaly. Hunt is a great option.
No, he did. He got more carries than Chubb this past week, which is frustrating as a Chubb owner, but that's just how they do that. That's just how they run the offense. They were also handing it to – I kept seeing a name.
Felton.
No, it wasn't Felton. Let me see here. It was like Janvich or something like that. And I was like, who is that? It was like their fullback or something.
Okay. Well, that's kind of weird. They were playing kind of goofy in that game. I don't know what they were getting cute. They should have just started running the ball from the beginning instead of having Baker Mayfield try to be a pass play quarterback, which he's not. He plays better off of the run as opposed to the run off the pass.
Yeah, look, let's brush up on some of these games. That game, like just, a quick little brush up if you're up for it. There's that game, the Texans were closer than I think a lot of us thought they were going to be.
Well, Tyrod Taylor, man, I feel so bad for that guy because he's
had a bad
talented, and he just has bad luck. Like last year with the Chargers, and then like now, just.
No, I feel you. It sucks, and he got hurt. Now it's this quarterback Mills coming in, the rookie.
Damn, Texans are now going to be really shitty. Helaire totally
panicked. I think he's done. So I mean, here's the thing. I would buy low on him if I could trade something. I would buy low on him if I could trade something that wasn't high end. Like if I could do like I want to say a Tyson Williams or like a James Robinson.
I would buy low on Helaire as well because right now I have no faith in him. But I will say this, Mark, at least Chris Godwin is putting numbers up for you this year as opposed to last year.
Yeah, Mark, I'll trade for your CEH in AJ's league, actually. No, seriously, like if you want Tyson and someone else, maybe we could do a little talk. But no, to be honest, I just don't – Helaire doesn't look good. There's something going on there. He lost that key fumble. It's so weird. I don't know what to make.
It's because these are running backs need rhythm, and he doesn't have any rhythm in that offense where it's throw first and then, let's just sprinkle in a little bit of running. Like it's not working out the way it should, and they're not utilizing him in the pass game, so it's kind of like he's an afterthought. And he shouldn't be really. He should be like their third option. It should be Hill or Kelsey, Hill, Helaire. Like those are their three most talented weapons.
Right.
But they're not doing that for whatever reason. And I don't understand because Andy Reid had Brian Westbrook in Philly and he utilized him really well. And I just don't get why he's not doing that with Helaire. It's kind of confusing.
It is. It's tough because we've seen him be really good and he is an elusive agile running back, but I'm more out.
Pick on him.
Yeah, I'm more out than in with Helaire.
Oh, definitely, I'm out on him as well.
So yeah, we should do what we'll do eventually in the future for those two of you that are watching is like if and when we get a bigger audience, we'll do like a section of answering questions so that we're not just jumping out of segments to answer questions. But thank you for the questions, Mark. We saw Joe Burrow struggle quite a bit against the Bears, which was kind of disappointing.
Terrible. It was terrible.
It was rough. I didn't watch that game, but I don't get what happened. I mean, it's the Bears, but is it their defense?
Both offenses were struggling. Like both offenses looked terrible. Like even when Fields got in the game, he didn't really do much of anything.
Yeah, we were talking about this. We're getting kind of a good amount of that going on this year so far, right? Like there's some weird games, some kind of
there's a lot of duds. So like week one, going back to week one really quick, there was a lot of duds. Like I was looking at scores across like all 25 of my fantasy leagues. And there was a lot of like high scoring and then there was low scoring. Usually you'll get one or two games like that, but that was across all the games. So a lot of players for the most part so far have been up and down and up and down. There hasn't been a lot of consistency, especially at the running back position.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of Derrick Henry's crazy game, and Aaron Jones's crazy game, there hasn't been like really high scoring running backs that you're used to seeing. Like everything is in the teens, and that's kind of weird for PPR.
It's a lot. It's in flux. There's a lot of it's a crazy. There's no consistency, except I would say that's why I went Chubb again. I wanted to bring this up on the pod. Is that I went Chubb number 2 pick in my 10-team league because he is one of the consistent guys. He's not going to be a blow up like Henry guy, but he will get you consistent points. I feel.
He's a great runner. The problem is they don't utilize him enough in Cleveland. And then another thing is like the receiver position is so saturated. It's really hard right now to see who is legit and who kind of fade.
Oh, for sure. That's a huge one.
Like
Jefferson.
Born in Minnesota is both weeks he's put up pretty decent points.
Oh, yeah, let me see.
The third option. And
yeah, I put in some waiver claims for this guy. KJ Bourne. I don't think it's Osborne. It's Osborne.
Sorry.
Let's see here. Yeah, KJ Osborne from Minnesota. Mark, you might know about him because he's on your team.
He should know about him if he doesn't.
He's been outscoring Jefferson, but see, some of these guys like Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, they've been lackluster. I would say.
They've been pretty quiet. Jefferson was better on Sunday, but even then, even Robert Woods is kind of quiet. And you have
Robert Woods is quiet. It's been the Cooper Kupp blow-up show.
Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, Godwin, like all the secondary receiving options are the ones that are blowing up right now, which is interesting.
Yeah, this is a wild year. You got to play the year. You got to play it. And right now, it's hard to know.
Debo Samuel, who I thought was the second option, who turns out to be the only option.
And what's happening now is that you're seeing fantasy teams like explode that have these picks that you were like, oh wow, this guy's team, like BA's team. Mark, did you and I don't know, Vinny Vader is his name in Mark's league. If you go and look at that team,
he scored 213
dude. All of his guys hit. Cooper Kupp, Gronk, Mike Evans.
None of those are first or second round picks.
Yeah.
Those are all low end round picks that you didn't think were going to do well. And right now, that's what's happening. And that's kind of weird. That's a weird trend. My question is it going to last? I don't know if some of those players are going to keep doing what they're doing. That's why let me go back to Pollard. Like, I don't think Pollard is going to keep doing what he's doing. I think it's going to fizzle out.
I think with Pollard, what he showed on Sunday is going to make the coaches. I think we might have talked about this too. Is that Zeke is not the true RB1 elite. I think he's more low end RB1, high end RB2 moving forward. I don't think he's lost talent. I don't think he's lost talent necessarily, but
they've changed what they're doing. And the thing with Pollard is he's going to be touchdown dependent as well. So like he may get volume, but if he's not getting touchdowns, it's gonna be tough in terms of him. So see that whole situation is too tricky for me, and I just want to stay away from it.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of teams want to go with the kind of Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb format.
Yeah, but those two are both like.
Yeah, those two are sick. Yeah, I mean, you can't. It doesn't work with everyone.
Yeah.
There's to finish the point about these secondary receivers. You saw it like in the draft. It was think about Ayuk went before Debo. Jefferson went before Thielen. Who else is a good example? There was a lot of them.
CeeDee Lamb went before Amari Cooper, but I think
one's panning out. That one's panning out. But there's one more that I was just thinking about.
Tyler Lockett went after Metcalf.
That's another one. That's for sure another one. That's not even the one I was thinking about. Look at that. It's all of these.
But then someone like Cooper Kupp, he dropped.
That's another one. That's the one I was thinking about. Robert Woods went before.
They were both low.
Yeah.
Like neither of them were high draft picks, but yet Cooper Kupp is killing it right now. Him and Matthew Stafford have this crazy chemistry, and I think that's going to stay consistent. So if you got Kupp, you have a really nice top 10 receiver for the rest of the year.
So this is a year that you're going to have to figure it out, make your adjustments and go with it, because this is a weird year. This is a weird year.
My worry for Devontae Adams this year is he may not get the touchdown usage.
No, well, he was due for a touchdown regression. Look at how many he had, like 19 touchdowns last year.
I think he's gonna drop to maybe 10 touchdowns this year.
I would. Oh, totally. I mean, he was due for that was going to be automatic, but he's still going to be.
No, he's still their only real option receiver. So obviously, still doing his thing.
No, he just put up a 20 points yesterday. I'll take that from him.
See, but my problem was I couldn't just rely on that one. I needed to split it up.
No, that's fair. We saw Tom Brady continue his dominance.
Brady is crazy right now.
Brady's crazy. That's a good quarterback to have. Calvin Ridley came back because they're going to be playing from behind a lot, but that's just, man, poor Matt Ryan is just aging out. Him and Roethlisberger are on, their way out.
Yeah, and then Kyle Pitts, he
came to life.
Yeah, he looked really good. Antonio Brown, tough.
He's going to be boomer bust. He's going to be boomer bust.
He's going to be boomer bust because right now Brady is trying to hit the deep balls with him. I think he's going to be a boom against the Rams because Ramsey's probably going to be on Evans or Godwin, and then whoever their second CB is. So I think AB is going to be the one to get the majority of those catches that we're used to seeing. But we'll see. It should be interesting.
How do you feel about Aaron Rodgers?
I still like Rodgers to produce. I think he's going to be 20 to 24. He's not going to be like MVP Rodgers last year. I also think he's we were talking about this earlier. He's kind of just going through the motions. It's kind of weird. He doesn't seem like he's really gives a shit right now.
Yeah.
Which
I saw this funny thing that they sent me on Instagram. I don't know if you've seen it. He went with this Mexican reporter, and he was kind of playing around with him, talking Spanish, wearing a sombrero. It was actually kind of cool. He won me over a little bit. He had him, speaking Spanish and stuff. He's it's weird. He's just almost like if he just wants to have fun. But but then the thing is, I also messaged my friend earlier and I said, look, he came out and said something about BS critics or something. And I said, look, he acts like the guy. He wants to appear to be the guy that's zen and doesn't care, but he cares a lot. He still cares about these critics because they still bother him.
But he only cares about it in terms of his ego. Like he's a narcissist for sure.
Yes, for sure.
It's not even a team thing with him. He's weird, man. He's a weird cat.
He's a weird cat. I agree. But okay, we're going just football. After watching last night, I think he still has some accuracy stuff to work out because he didn't have a preseason or OTAs, but he still has that crazy Rodgers rocket, like that pass to Tunyon. It was like Tunyon just had to look at his arm and the ball appeared. So,
and I think to that reason, that's why you need to start Rodgers over Fields.
Oh, yes. I brought up the question to AJ about I have Fields and Lance, actually. Both I picked them up, and Fields is going to be the first one to get the start, and I was wondering if I should play Fields because of his rushing ability, but I think you have to go with the veteran on this one.
I mean,
Rodgers. Not just any veteran, but I worried a little against the Niners. I think that I'm still scared because of that New Orleans game was kind of a big shock. But I think you still go with Rodgers. I think you still go with like the touchdown.
I do. Guy. He's more of a known than Fields. You don't really know what you're getting out of Fields, if anything. And another thing is Matt Nagy sucks. They were showing a route tree for Allen Robinson, and they're all short routes, like curls and slants within like 10 to 15 yards. So that's worrisome in terms of that offensive philosophy.
That's an interesting point to bring up, man. I've kind of tried to stick with Nagy, but he might get himself X'd out of there.
Yeah. Some coaches are better as coordinators, and that's all there is to it. Like, I don't think he's a great head coach.
Okay, how about Josh Allen? How do you feel about Josh Allen right now? I was reading something about that. He's in these first two games, he's kind of gone backwards from what he had improved on last year in terms of his depth of field accuracy.
I haven't really watched the Buffalo Bills games.
No, me either.
To be honest with you, but they are starting to run the ball a bit more. Both Zach Moss and Singletary put up double digit.
They did, and Singletary looks the part now. This is the best he's looked in the last few years.
So I do think you can expect regression from both Allen and Diggs. So that's one reason why I stayed away from Diggs in the draft, is because I knew there was going to be definitely.
There was no way. Yeah, he after all of the catches,
and he gave 4 touchdowns. So like that's a big indicator too that I wanted to stay away from.
I 100% agreed with you, in a PPR, in non-PPR especially, because he doesn't score touchdowns. But I did avoid Diggs for that same reason. He led the league in receptions last year, and I was like, he can't do that again. So agreed with you on that. I think Allen will start to, and what you bank on with Allen is his goal line ability and his rushing, but we haven't necessarily seen that yet.
I think another thing is, I think Buffalo is trying to reconfigure their identity because of how they got beat in the championship game against the Chiefs. I think they're trying to figure some stuff out before it's too late in terms of like their running backs. But I don't know, man. It's interesting. There's a lot of teams that are still kind of in flux in terms of what they want to do or not happy with their identity, so to speak. Like, I'll give you an example. Like the Chiefs, they're pass first no matter what, but they're okay with that, and they're going to do that. Buffalo was the same way, but I feel like they're not okay with that, and now they are trying to find a running game. And then you have Tampa, who is definitely pass first, and they seem to be okay with that too. Even though they try to sprinkle in the run, I think overall they know that they're a pass first team.
They do, and they just those runners are not the guys though. Like Fournette looked better, I think, this last week. But
there's a lot of things at play there. But yeah, I mean, there's the running backs, but it's also like, I don't know, it's stupid. And then you have San Francisco, who is now throwing the ball a bit more, but they're definitely a run-based team. But their running backs are all falling like flies.
They're gonna have to adjust. I want to see how Shanahan adjusts.
They have no running backs. Like
and they
is done for the year.
They hail, Shanahan as this guru, but I want to see what he does because I don't know. I was talking to you earlier about how I feel like he's out coaching or over coaching or something. He's, I want to see if he can piece together what's going on over there.
Yeah, it's San Francisco.
That was an ugly game. That was like a not great game.
That was a boring game. I had to flip.
I didn't watch at all the Patriots and Jets. I know Mac Jones is playing kind of the game manager mode.
Yeah, dude, he only threw for 173 yards.
Wow. Yeah, so that what we're seeing there is Belichick's magic, in terms of like, especially the Jets, where he took care of a rookie quarterback, which is kind of his MO. Yeah,
their defense is going to be what gets New England places, if anywhere, this year. Like, Mac Jones is not the guy in terms of winning games for you, so to speak. And their running game is, again, kind of weird too. So, I don't know. Patriots are a weird team. I like to stay away from their players because you can't trust any of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Damian Harris had a really nice Marshawn Lynch tribute run. I don't know if you got to see that highlight.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, he killed it. Speaking of defenses, the Panthers are looking nice. You and I both called an upset on the Saints, and that happened. 26-7. Their defense looks strong. I talked to you earlier about how Darnold is kind of honing in on his skill and reducing his kind of crazy play choices.
Yeah, agreed. I think Matt Rule is a really nice.
He's a good coach, good young coach. Matt Rule's good. Their defense is one of the.
I liked him when they got him, and I knew that they would be better. And unfortunately, they are better sooner than anticipated.
Well, unfortunately for your NFC South.
Yeah.
The Broncos continue to get it done. Even they're not the most exciting team. It's kind of like another game manager is.
Yeah, but they've also played pretty poor.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they played the Jags and the Giants. So they're gonna, there's gonna be stiffer competition to come. So we'll see how that goes.
We have to see how good their players really are. That's what I want to see. Like, how good are their players against better competition?
Yeah, and I want to see what Teddy Bridgewater can do because he's that quarterback that won't lose you the game.
Yeah, he's a game manager, so he's not
a game manager. But he also won't win it for you if it comes to like a high scoring kind of critical moment. So I want to see what they can do. You know how much I love Javonte Williams. He had a really nice run, and he picks up blitz coverage really nicely. So, him and Melvin Gordon are splitting time. So we'll see how that unfolds as the season goes along. The Vikings and Cardinals, Kyler Murray continues to be magical.
Yeah, he looks really good. He has a lot of options. Outside of those options, I mean, the most consistent is obviously Hopkins. That's tough, man. Like those players, like, yeah, I know you're high on Rondale Moore, but the problem with him is you don't really know what he's going to do.
No, you're right. He had the highest targets in the game the other day. I don't know if that's that's not gonna remain. But the thing is, the Cardinals are also throwing it so much. Their running game is they have Connor, for crying out loud, and Edmonds, who's a pass catching back anyways. So I feel like that's right there. That's a big throwing team.
Yeah, they're a throw team, and they're, again, same thing as with Baltimore. Their best running back is their quarterback.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the Panthers really quick, that game specifically. So one thing that worries me with the Saints is because Jameis is their quarterback, I think it might deter from Kamara because Jameis is Jameis and he likes to throw it downfield and do dumb shit. And I think that's gonna hurt play calling in terms of getting the ball to Kamara for checkdowns. It's not going to be the same as with Drew Brees where he's like, oh, option's not there, let me go to Kamara. I think the only way Kamara is going to get the ball and get those points is if they run the ball, which I think they're going to have to do, and if it's a play like a screen called for Kamara, because otherwise Jameis is going to do more or less what he was doing Sunday, which is just not good stuff.
Erratic play. Yeah, and the thing with that is that they don't even have really any receiving options.
They don't have any receivers. Like all those receivers are doo-doo.
Yeah, Mike Callaway call didn't pan out, and so now what happens is that you're going to get teams that are easily going to stack the box against Kamara.
Juwan Johnson is their best option.
That sucks if that's the case. So Kamara owners I wouldn't panic, but you're just not going to get the Kamara.
Yeah, you're going to have to temper expectations at least for a while. I don't even know if Winston's going to survive the whole year as the starting quarterback if they'll go to Taysom Hill. Be interesting.
Yeah, tough times
ahead.
The
way Winston played, I'm pretty sure Sean Payton is going to be like, fuck
that. The Cowboys and Chargers was an exciting game. It was funny because this was the battle of like the heartbreak teams. These teams are always used to losing in the last second. Right? And so it was like, who's going to be the ultimate heartbreaker? And so we saw that, unfortunately, it was the Chargers, man. I felt so bad. That was a good –
It was.
They killed themselves, though. That was a frustrating game to watch because the penalties killed the Chargers.
They do that to themselves, though. That's just the way they are. Same thing with the Cowboys. So kind of going back to one of Mark's first questions about Herbert, this is why you don't panic. He played two much improved defenses over the past 2 weeks. Washington, obviously, they were better last year, so like it was expected for them to be good. So his numbers are going to be low in that game because Ron Rivera is a very good coach and he coaches defense and he knows what he's doing. And then Gus Bradley is the new defensive coordinator in Dallas, and Dallas is a much improved defense as well. So that kind of plays into Herbert having lower than expected numbers. But I do expect him to bounce back and get back into the mid-20s and hit those 30-point games here and there. So I do think Herbert is someone you need.
Hold on. First, Gus Bradley is the Raiders defensive
coordinator. Shoot, not Gus Bradley. Shit.
Let's not get it twisted, son.
Sorry, it's because they all come from the Tampa tree. It's one of those fucking guys.
No, but you look, to jump on your point.
Barry? Is it Joe Barry?
Who's that?
Shoot, I forgot who it is. I thought it was Joe Barry.
No, it's not Barry. Barry went to the
I'm gonna kick myself.
I know, now you're tripping us up here. Cowboys defensive coordinator. Thank God for Google, as you can see.
Dan Quinn.
Quinn. There we go. Dan Quinn, the former Falcons coach.
Yeah, better coordinator than he is coach for sure.
No, and one thing I really liked was Micah Parsons. They had talked about moving him to defensive end in this game, and they did. Man, he is really sharp. He put the pressure on Herbert. He's the one that knocked him on his ass in that one play where they called him down.
Diggs, their cornerback, number 7.
Yes.
Good too.
Yeah, no, that was a good showing for the Cowboys. And
They
and
should
they
be a
walked.
playoff team. They should win that division. Dallas is the better team. They're the most talented team in that division, and they just have
Yeah,
to.
and if you're a Dak Prescott owner, he did not get you. He got you like 7
points.
fantasy points.
And
Yeah,
that's what I was talking. We were talking about this earlier too. The thing with Dallas is the fact that everything this year is scheme based. Unlike last year, where it's like, oh, let's just throw the goddamn ball. No, they're actually thinking about their philosophy for each game this year and actually going in with a plan. So you're going to see weeks where maybe they go based on what the defense is. Like against Tampa, they're like, well, we can't run it, so we're just going to throw short passes. And that's what they did. That they executed that. Against the Chargers, they must have saw something where they figured they could run the ball, and that's what they did.
yeah. No, it's going to be interesting. That game didn't play out like the shootout that I thought it was going to be. It was much more low scoring than I thought it was going to be.
Did you think it was going to be a shootout?
I thought it would have turned into a shootout with the high power. They both have high powered offenses and
but the Chargers have such a good defense. Like they're such a good defense, but they're underrated. Like they have skilled players at each position. Like,
yeah, no, it's fair. It's that was a great game, even though it was really frustrating because every damn play that the Chargers had. You know, it was also frustrating me as a Keenan Allen owner. He wouldn't shut up after every single play. He was barking at the referees for whatever reason. I don't know what he was pissed about.
He's been like that the past couple of years.
He has, huh? He's been kind of weird. But damn, he's still talented, man. He's got back to back.
Talented. He just can't score goddamn touchdowns. He never.
I know, that frustrates me. That frustrates me. And I have him in a non-PPR league, so that's tough. But
he does not get touchdowns. He's so frustrating.
But he's good. He's just so good.
I like him, but he doesn't score any. On the other end, you have someone like Mike Evans who only scores touchdowns.
Yeah, and he doesn't get you the yards anymore. But it's funny because I still want him to keep his streak alive. His 8th year of 1,000 yards. If they can do it, but
I mean, he could still get it, especially with 17 games. But it's just so weird in Tampa where the most consistent player right now is Chris Godwin. Because Gronk is getting looks, but Chris Godwin is consistent. Like he's getting receptions.
Yeah, if there's a receiver,
and he's getting touchdowns.
Yeah, if there's a receiver on the Bucs that you like want as a solid one, it's definitely Godwin and Gronk. To be honest, it's just
Gronk is a touchdown machine, and honestly, with the tight end position, that's all you really need is a touchdown. Like
for sure. Even just one touchdown and you're good. So good stuff there. The Titans and the Seahawks. Damn it, the Seahawks just broke my heart. In this one, like I think you were talking to me about it earlier, that they just are weird sometimes, right? That they're a weird team.
Well, they're not a good team. I think I don't really agree with him all the time, but Khaled Cowherd mentioned this today. He's like, Seattle is not a good team. They trick you into believing they're a good team because of how good Russell Wilson is.
Yes.
Without Russell Wilson, they're an average to low team. Like they're not a very good.
They always rely on Russ to like save them.
He bails them out. He makes them look better than what they are. And he even brought up the point like Tyler Lockett, and I don't know if I agree with him on this, but he's like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are not that good. They're only that good because of Russell. I don't really agree with that idea because there was a lot of plays last year where DK Metcalf he was just beasting. But anyways, Seattle, I don't know, man. I don't think they're as good as everyone wants them to be, but that's how much respect Russell Wilson gets because he's such a great quarterback. He's always consistent in fantasy, and he always goes so late in fantasy drafts, but he's always consistent.
Yeah, this year I think people caught on though. He did go a little earlier in this year because the reason for that
them up real quick.
Yeah, I picked him up pretty quick. The reason being is because he voiced his opinion in the offseason, and it was going to be something where they were going to let him cook basically more this year and let him air it out more.
Which they should, because they don't really have a running game. Like if you take Russell Wilson out of the equation, there is no team. Like they're less talented, and yeah, man, that their running game, Carson is not without touchdowns. Carson isn't really doing anything. He's someone I would worry about a bit.
Yeah, I'm not big on him. Well, someone that I am worried about on that team that I am fearing that he is going to have a
slump,
a dud year. So far, there's not anyone I can say is going to like so far this year that is like, oh man, this is a dud year, except maybe Clyde Edwards. I think DK is worrying me about possibly having a dud year.
And I'll be honest with you, I think that's partially because you shouldn't have drafted him so high. So your expectations for him are higher than most people's because you drafted him in the first round. And
yeah, I drafted him at this kind of elite expectation.
Yeah. So for you, I think, yeah, there's major disappointment, but I think other people are getting the return on investment that they probably expected, so to speak.
Yeah, it's understandable. We'll see what he does this coming week. They're still ranking him high, but I feel like he might. I'm hoping he's not, obviously, as an owner. So we'll see what happens. Well, that Sunday night game was incredible. We got to watch Lamar Jackson tear it up against the Chiefs. Man, you just don't know what to do against that kind of quarterback. I'm speechless.
It's crazy too because Lamar Jackson, he's a running back who happens to know how to throw the ball somewhat. He's a great football player, but he is not a great quarterback. But luckily for him, he's such a great athlete that it doesn't really matter in the regular season.
Oh, I know. That's a good point, dude. That's a great point. I still want to see what he can do in the playoffs.
He can't do anything because he can't throw the ball with accuracy.
Hollywood Brown has really showed up in fantasy.
Well, yeah. So, like, there's a couple of those players that you expected something from in years past and they haven't done anything. So Hollywood Brown is one of those guys, and I think Henry Ruggs is one of those guys.
Yeah, Henry Ruggs has been really nice. Yeah, we haven't talked about the Steelers-Raiders game, which was fantastic. You know, the Raiders right now looking really good on all levels. Ruggs they utilized him towards the end of the first game against the Ravens, and then in the second game, I think they really said, "All right, well, we can start."
They're starting to utilize him more, which I like because I have him on my team, but it's also good because it's just better for their team as a whole to spread.
It's not just Waller. Now they have Bryan Edwards, who they're getting involved, and they're going to have to pass a bit more because Jacobs is out. And they can spread the ball more
because Drake can catch the ball out of the back.
Yeah, this is good for their offense, I think. And Ruggs had that 61-yard touchdown. He's obviously a super burner, so really cool. Ben Roethlisberger just looks,
old. He looks shot.
Yeah, he looks shot.
Yeah, he looks fun, man.
That's going to hinder their team. They've got to do so. I mean, because if not, this year's going to be a lost year for them. I mean, Najee looks good. His points actually look better than I thought. I didn't know he had that reception. I missed that reception touchdown that he had.
Oh, yeah, that was nice. Najee Harris, he had a nice coming out party against the Raiders, which is good for them because even if Ben Roethlisberger is as broken as we think he is, then that's going to be helpful for them because then they have some semblance of a running back / running game. But the problem with the Steelers is they're not explosive as you think when you think the Steelers are, because Big Ben is just not that guy anymore. So it's gonna be interesting, man. I think we're gonna start seeing more of Juju Smith getting those short catches.
Man, Juju looked good. He had these tackle. He's always been a great tackle breaker, and he had a couple really nice. The touchdown he had, and then a couple of sideline passes where he broke several tackles and got his yards. He's a nice player.
Yeah, he's nice. And then Deontay Johnson, man, I love that guy. But fuck, he's always getting hurt. So you're always like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, that sucks to see that because he is a really nice player, and his dropping habits have been cleaned up this year.
Yep, and that's important. And then Claypool has finally come down to earth.
Yeah, Claypool's come down to earth. I mean, they use him they like to use him as a running back sometimes.
Yeah. He's not going to get as many of those crazy touchdowns as he got last year.
No, last year that was an inflated touchdowns for him.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. I think that the Steelers are in for some trouble. TJ Watt got injured right after they paid him a ton of money.
Yeah, they said he'll be okay though. But again, injuries piling up for the same teams who are used to getting injured. So weird.
Yep. And so the Lions-Packers, we already touched a little bit on that. I did want to say Hawkinson continues to be a consistent option.
He's amazing. He is the option. He is the option.
He's top 3 tight ends right now. I mean, I would go with him over Kittle at this point.
Oh, definitely. I would definitely go with him over Kittle.
Yep.
Right now, honestly, it's Kelsey, of course, and then Waller, and then Hawk.
I would say Hawk too.
And then Gronk.
And then Gronk. Yeah, and then Gronk for sure, dude. Gronk back in the top. He's not done yet.
Yeah,
so Very cool stuff. Those were good games. We'll get the preview show either tomorrow or Thursday, and we have to still post our picks from week 1, and we'll see who won that fantasy matchup. Any other fantasy points you want to bring up?
I do. We did kind of touch on this. There's like panicking and all that good stuff. It is still only week 2. I don't think there's really a reason to panic because most teams, if I'm guessing right, are 1-1. There's maybe 1 or 2 teams that are 2-0, and even if you're 0-2, I mean, if you can stay pat if you really trust in your team to bounce back from the first couple of weeks, or you can start to make changes. I think in your case, Edmund, it's a really smart to kind of stay pat because I think your team is a good team and it will produce points. Whereas my biggest fear with my team is just that it was.
This is your team in your league. You're talking about in my team in Mark's league. Yeah, to clarify.
So my team in my league is. I needed more balance because I don't have the same star power that I had last year, where I had Hill and Adams and a breakout star in Deontay Johnson. This year was more, WR2s, running back 2s, and then Davante Adams. And then I didn't have a quarterback, so I just needed to balance some stuff out. So I think you kind of have to gauge your team and really look at them and see if it's something that you really need to just stay pat on. In most cases, I think most teams should just stay pat. Smith? Devontae Smith?
Yeah, is that it is Devontae Smith. Yeah, Mark, I saw that you sat Debo last week, which was surprising after the game 1 that he had.
I would go Smith. I like Smith on Monday night against the Cowboys.
I would go Debo. He's had 2 consistent games. I wouldn't sit him. He's going up against the Packers too, whose defense is suspect for sure. But I will say he's probably going up against Jair Alexander, who's one of the top cornerbacks.
Yeah, he's probably the best cornerback. And then on top of that, there are no other options right now for the Niners because they have no running backs.
That's tough. I don't think you can go wrong with either. I do like Devontae. He had 7 targets, only caught 2 of them, I think, this past week. So I
do like Devontae Smith. I think he's the best.
Yeah. AJ's had a crush on him all summer, so he wants to take him on a date. Debo is awesome. Debo's the number 1. He's a WR, low end WR1 right now.
Right now he is. I just don't know if he's gonna be able to keep that consistency for the rest of the year. I don't think so.
Well, he's also his playing style leaves him subject to injury often. So
yep, I agree with that too. And there are a lot of players like that are going to come back down to earth, I think.
Yeah, we didn't get the players that are come back down to earth. I think 7 targets, Mark. So we had. I think Debo will come down a little bit. I don't know if this Ayuk thing is going to ever pan out. I feel like the second I drop him, he's going to go bananas.
Probably. I think Lockett is going to come back down to earth for sure.
Yeah, Lockett's going to come back down. I do think, DK, it's going to only a matter of time before he rips one. So.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It'll be interesting to see what happens because, again.
Same with AJ Brown. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think week 3 is going to be a more telling of players.
Yes, it always usually is. It usually is. So it's an exciting one. By the way, I'm back in town, guys. We should all do some football watching. I don't know, something.
Get your underwear ready.
Get your undies on.
I'll watch the Thursday night game, the exciting game of the Panthers and the Texans.
Oh, I know. Get your Panthers defense. If they're on the waiver wire, go and get the Panthers defense, not just for this game, which you'll probably get some high points, but they're looking like, there's always with kick. Here's another thing with kickers and with defenses. Sometimes you wait to see who's kind of unfolding, and you'll always have a kicker on the waiver wire that's like lighting it up. And so I'll wait and I'll grab him. Right now I was looking at someone like Nick Folk. If he's out there, he's number 2 kicker right now to Carlson. So Carlson was mostly drafted. I have him in 2 leagues. There's always these kickers that end up kind of showing up. So I, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the defenses that are hot. I mean, in AJ's league, it's so hard because there's 16 teams and you can have 2 defenses. So what's that?
There's 14
Um,
teams.
There's 14 teams. I'm sorry, and there's 32 teams in the NFL, and some teams have 2 defenses. So there's nothing on the there's like 3 or 4 defenses on the waiver wire.
Yeah, that's about it. I don't know why I don't keep 2 defenses in any league. I don't. I think it's a waste.
I disagree. In my 10-team league, I keep 2 defenses, especially if they're 2 pretty solid defenses.
I'll do one, and then when that team has a bye, I'll pick up a flyer, and then that's it.
Oh, a streamer. No, I will look at the schedules of the defenses of who they're facing, and I will hold on to those 2, and I'll anticipate who they're going to play. That's something that I've kind of done.
No, I can't do it.
All right, fair enough. I think that we are good. It was the recap episode. We will give you guys the preview episode either tomorrow or Thursday, and we will pick our fantasy players. We'll give you what do we know? You know what it is? I believe our format, apologies guys, but our format is that we preview the Thursday game on the recap episode. Is that how we were doing it?
Yeah, that's usually how we do it.
Okay, so we could preview, because then that leaves us to do the show on like a Saturday. Well, okay, we have the Texans and the Panthers, and that's it. Bye.
In terms of that game, Brandon Cooks, definitely someone to flex.
Yeah, I've heard good things. You know what? I have not taken
really well. And he's our only option, really, on offense. And then, obviously, the Panthers, you're going to go with McCaffrey, DJ Moore. I think Robbie Anderson can have a really big game.
Yeah, you got Robbie Anderson. I think Darnold is a good streamer this week.
Yeah, he could be a good streamer.
And I'm still waiting for Terrace Marshall. This isn't an electric team like the Cardinals, so you can't feed that many mouths, especially when you have Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. So
even then, they don't score a lot of points.
They don't score a lot of points. Like Darnold's on that line of like Bridgewater, but a little higher than him.
Yeah, he's only a little bit higher because he can run with the ball.
He can run, yeah.
But other than that,
for sure. I got the Panthers in that game. I mean, there's not much. Yeah, there's not much to break down in that game. So that's your preview for Thursday. We'll get the preview show for the rest of the slate of games on Saturday. And that's about it. Good stuff, man. Good to be back.
Anything else to really touch upon?
No,
other than that, really.
No, we'll give you the results of our first week's fantasy picks so that we could try to stay consistent with it. And we'll give you the results for who won the fantasy picks for week 1, and we'll make our fantasy picks for week number 3. Other than that, good seeing you, and we will talk soon, man.
Sounds good, bro.
All right, brother. Latest.